Hey everyone, it's LaShonda from Labors of Love here with another Therapy Thursday. And today I want to talk about what if it's grief. There are so many things for us humanity, to grieve right now. We're still in the midst of a global pandemic. There are some of us who have lost loved ones. Not just to the pandemic, but we've lost loved ones to many things. But the social distancing, the quarantining, and the measures that have been put in place to slow and stop the spread of COVID-19 has also meant that we have not been able to collectively grieve in ways that we are accustomed. And when the ritual of grieving is absent, it's possible that sometimes people do not know how to grieve without those ritualistic aspects. Very plainly, we're not able to gather at funerals, have repasses, hug, embrace together in person like so many of us are accustomed. And so specifically with the example of losing a loved one, without the ritual that brings us together to grieve collectively, some of us have not discovered an outlet. And what that means is that grief that we would once have an opportunity to do collectively, it's now just sitting in our bodies. Many of us have lost jobs, livelihood, passion, relationships, not due to death, but due to many other things. There's been a lot of loss. And what I'm encouraging us to consider is to explore, could it be grief? When your short temper and your snippiness with other people, is it anger or could it be grief? Your disappointment and withdrawal and wanting to just crawl into one of the dark corners of your soul, is it depression or could it be grief? The quickening of your heart and the anxiousness that you're experiencing, is it anxiety or could it be grief? I am in no way minimizing the realities of the depressive symptoms, the anxious symptoms that we have, that there are not many things to be angry about. But what I do know is that grief will sometimes manifest itself as an emotion that we're willing to express just so it can get out. Because some of us really have never been taught how to grieve, because many of us have never been really shown and have not experienced the safety to grieve, not just with death, but with loss and with things that we hoped for and didn't come to fruition. But we have been taught how to be angry, how to rage. We've normalized being sad or anxious, but in so many ways, grief has not been normalized. And so I offer this as an opportunity for us to just get curious with compassion. Is what I'm experiencing, is this externalization of what's happening in me actually this thing I think it is? Or is there some unprocessed, unaddressed grief that I have inside that I have not addressed and dealt with? And why is that important? Because if it's grief, but you are addressing anger, the grief will still be there. If it's grief and you've made the decision that it's something else and you put the effort into calming or controlling that other thing, the grief resides. But if we create an intentional opportunity where we will say, I will grieve, and I will allow that grief to manifest in whatever way it needs to, then we find that we're not constricting our grief to what we think it should look like or even what we want it to look like, but creating an opportunity for it to be what it is. I want to normalize grief, that there's plenty to be grieved, and extend the invitation for people to give themselves permission to do so. If you want to reach out to me, if you have questions, please reach out. Website is www.thelaborsoflove.com. Don't forget we're on all the major social media outlets. If you have not already, please head over to our Instagram, specifically for our podcast, _LOL_pod. And if you haven't already, please give the podcast its 5-star rating, write a review, share it with your friends. Until we connect again, you all be well.